Hello, and welcome to ERPNext Shootouts with Zoho Books and Inventory. This is the Opinionated section. And just to give you context, the actual discovery part of the shootout has been done. It's a 5-hour marathon video that is up on YouTube, and this section is going to be a lot crisper with a lot more opinion. The longer video was just a discovery process. There was no opinions. I tried to steer clear of opinions over there, but this one is not like that. This one is going to be a totally opinionated section. So let's get cracking on it. So what is ERPNext Shootouts? ERPNext is the world's most popular open source ERP. It's used by about 25,000 organizations across the world. Unicorns run their business on ERPNext. Unicorns such as Zerodha and Elastic run. Yet ERPNext is in many ways the best kept secret in the world. 25,000 organizations across the world may sound a lot, but it's not. It's just a small, insignificant, minute fraction of the overall number of organizations that could be or should be using ERPNext. So how well does ERPNext stack up against its peers and competitors? That's what this shootout does. Is the reason ERPNext the best kept secret in the world because of something to do with ERPNext, or is it like possible that people haven't heard of it? So this shootout, attempts to present both perspectives. If there is anything drastically, wrong with ERPNext as compared to its competitors, it will present that. Or if there is nothing wrong and it's just the best kept secret in the world, this video, I don't know how popular it's going to be, will hope to correct that particular thing in its own small, minuscule way. So let's pick on Zoho Books and Inventory. Zoho is a unicorn, and people in India would have heard of Zoho, evaluated Zoho, or are using Zoho. Um, ERPNext is like an India-focused company because Frappe Technologies, the company, the prime motivators behind ERPNext is a Mumbai-based company. So there is a predominantly India focus on ERPNext, though ERPNext is very popular in various overseas markets as well. Europe, the Americas, Middle East, Asia Pacific, and Australia, New Zealand. Coming back to why picking on Zoho Books and Inventory, I have a blog comparing ERPNext against Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory. This is on my LinkedIn page. This blog post was based on mere hearsay because I was talking to a prospect who was expressing a ton of frustration with Zoho Books and Inventory. And I was wondering if it's really as bad as what this particular gentleman was talking to me about, or is there maybe a reason that he didn't know a few things about Zoho Books and Inventory that made him not use Zoho Books and Inventory to its fullest potential. So I said, like, the best way to find out is to go discover it myself, and that is the 5-hour video that's already up on my ROI Retrievers YouTube channel. So now on this particular shootout, we're going to figure out how Zoho, ERPNext and Zoho stack up against each other. And it'll actually present the good things about ERPNext, the good things about Zoho, and the not so good things about both of these pieces of software. While I have a bias towards ERPNext, I am hoping that I will not be drawing upon any of those particular biases or any of those familiarity with ERPNext. I hope to do an objective professional assessment of both Zoho Books and Inventory. And where you guys think that I'm not doing that, you Zoho Books and Inventory experts or ERPNext community, please feel free to point out, and I will evaluate your inputs. And if intervention and correction is necessary, I will post it on my YouTube channel. How are we doing this particular shootout? It's already been done. This is the opinionated section. Remember, I kind of came up with a set of attributes that a typical small medium business would encounter while trying to digitize its processes. And this is the set of attributes and tasks that we have goaled both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory on. We sign up for a company, ROI Retrievers. We work with a standard chart of accounts without any opening balances. We set up items: SI bought, SI made, SI outsourced, SI made S, RM1, RM2, and RM3. SI made uses one number of RM1, SI outsourced uses 1 kg of RM2, and SI made S uses one number of RM3. SI made is a serialized item, so is RM1, the input item into SI made. SI outsource is a batched item with expiry date, and its input item RM2 is also batched and has an expiry date. SI made S is neither serialized nor batched, so we just want to keep it simple. SI made simple is the SI is for sales item. And the input item into SI made S, which is RM3, is neither serialized nor batched. We're going to make a BOM, a bill of materials, for SI made, SI outsourced, and SI made S. We're going to procure 100 numbers of SI bought, 100 numbers of RM1, and 100 kg of RM2, and 100 numbers of RM3. We're going to make SI made and SI made S. We're going to outsource and get back SI outsourced. We're going to create 3 warehouses in addition to the warehouses that might come with, that these pieces of software might come with: main stores, brand stores, and roadshow. We're going to send 25 numbers each of SI bought, SI made, SI outsourced, and SI made S to the brand stores and the roadshow. And we're going to invoice and ship from the brand stores and the roadshow. So this is the set of attributes, the same set of attributes um, for both pieces of software. The screens, the detailed screens, have all been captured, and that's the 5-hour video that I was referring to. And if you have the time, the inclination, and the time and the inclination, please feel free to take a look at that. And wherever you have a little bit of doubt as to whether I made the appropriate and get the appropriate call as to how a particular piece of software is going to be used, go back to that longer video, take a look at it, and if I've missed a trick while doing that particular attribute, please do let me know. And like I said, I will evaluate that, and if I think that a correction or an intervention is necessary, I will definitely do that in a subsequent version of this particular video. So now let's get on to the next part. So this is the actual shootout. So we begin the opinionated section of the shootout. It was very easy to sign up on both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory. Zoho Books and Inventory ask for a phone number too, and validate signups with an OTP on the phone number. Both serve a preloaded chart of accounts, and business owners don't need to have to deal with complex accounting issues or chart of accounts issues while signing up and using either software. So they can just sign up and get going, immediately, trying to digitize their businesses. Now, let me kind of, walk you through some of the very quick screens on both of them. So let's go to ERPNext first. And while this is loading up, it's already loaded up. Let me click on Get Started and scroll down and say Start Free Trial. And so this is the part that you have to complete. And after that, there are a few more screens where you'll have to provide information about the kind of organization that you're setting up, and within minutes you're into ERPNext, and you can start using ERPNext to your heart's content and heart's satisfaction. Now let's go to Zoho.com, and so it's a very similar kind of thing. You can sign up, and you just have to enter this particular thing. And Zoho is a suite of products, and you have to sign up for Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory, and that's all you need to do. And you're in, and again you have to provide a few information, some basic information about the company that you're trying to set up for, and you're in again in a few minutes, and it's got a complete chart of accounts just like ERPNext. You don't need to worry about chart of accounts and complex accounting issues before you get started. You can just hit the ground running as soon as you are signed up. and both of them offer a free trial. um, I think both of them offer a 2 week free trial. The only thing is that like I said here, you had Zoho expects you to put in a phone number, and then ERPNext doesn't ask you for a phone number. So let me come back to this and get back to the slideshow, and then provide a quick a quick summary of what I found out. Like I said, it was very easy to sign up on both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory. Zoho sign up asks for a phone number and OTP. Now, I'm not 100% sure that whether that's good or bad. In a way, it's good in the sense that you don't have robo signups, but that is more a service provider perspective. For the user, I think it's a little intrusive if you expect a user to put in his or her phone number, because email is acceptable. It's like everybody, and you have to use the email. You have to provide your email ID to be able to sign up anywhere, and people spamming you on email. Though neither ERPNext nor Zoho Books or Inventory has spammed me, other than some basic information and basic email. But a new user who's signing up on either ERPNext or on Zoho Books plus Inventory doesn't know about these organizations, and a user's initial what can I say, ambivalence or hesitation would be to say, oh, what if these guys spam me? What if they call me? So the moment you ask for a phone number, maybe in India it's a little bit more common because everybody's got everybody's phone number. It's out there everywhere. But in other markets, people I think would hesitate to put in their phone number. Maybe Zoho doesn't ask for phone numbers for other markets. Maybe they validate the IP address and they know that my connection is from India, and they ask for and they ask for the phone number. But even in India, I would say it's a little bit. I wouldn't put them. Yeah, I wouldn't ding either of them for asking a phone number or not asking a phone number. But I think I would be the focus on the sign up is to get people started, and from that perspective, not asking for a phone number is perfectly acceptable. um, no restrictions. ERPNext, there is no restrictions on the modules you can use all the modules: accounting, inventory, sales, purchase, and all of those kind of things. Whereas Zoho and Inventory are two separate pieces of software, and you need to sign up for both. And the sign up was very easy. You just add on to a previous sign up that you have. So I wouldn't even say that that was an additional level of complexity. But both Zoho Books and Inventory in ERPNext allows you to use all features during the free trial, as everybody would expect. It's a free trial. You want people to sign up and then want to renew their subscriptions, if you will. So that's not such a great deal. But I have a separate section where I'm going to be talking about what happens when the free trial runs out and which one is better about how to handle the culmination of a free trial. And but that's another module. For this particular module, I'm going to have a winner for each module. So for this particular module, the winner is, drum rolls, even Steven. I think it's kind of like both of them are pretty easy to sign up. It's very easy to get started. You don't need to worry too much. They don't ask you a lot of intrusive questions. So it's fairly okay. I didn't see any great disadvantages one over the other in either of them. And hence, even Stephen. Hello, 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 and welcome back to ERPNext Shootouts with Zoho Books and Inventory. This is the Opinionated section, and in this particular section, we're going to be talking about item and BOM setup. The attributes for both pieces of software that we used to evaluate which one is better, or the relative advantages and disadvantages of each, are the following. It's a setup items: SI bought, SI made, SI made S, SI outsourced, RM1, RM2, and RM3. SI made is a serialized item, so is RM1. SI outsourced is a batched item with expiry date, so is RM2. SI made S is neither batched nor serialized, neither is RM3. We're going to make BOMs for SI made S, and SI outsourced. SI made uses 1 numbers of RM1, SI outsourced uses 1 kg of RM2, and SI made S uses 1 numbers of RM3. So now let me just walk you through the screens of it. I've logged into both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory. And while setting up items, this is where you go in. You just kind of pick up an item, like let us say I picked up SI sales item bought, and I scroll down, and in the inventory section, so you just have to enter these data. ERPNext asks for the HSN SAC number because you're in India. I'm sure there is a way by which you can uh, ensure that the HSN SAC number is not mandatory. It's well-meaning, but when you're setting up items, you really don't want to get into the complexity of having to deal with HSN and SAC code, because the person who's going to be championing digitization project in a company is going to be the entrepreneur, and the entrepreneur is not going to be, is not going to be, is not going to have the patience to find all of these particular things out. So it's a good idea not to ask for the HSN SAC code at the time of setting it up. At the time of setting up the items, and then there are a whole bunch of other things. And let me pick up a serialized item and a batched item, and I'll walk you through that. To set up a serialized item and a batched item, you really don't need to do. You don't need to enable it at any system level. You just come in and you check the appropriate box for serial number and batch number. On ERPNext, if you have made an item and made a transaction on that particular item, an inward transaction, then you will not be able to toggle this particular thing from having serialized serial numbers to not having serial numbers, or having batch numbers to not having batch numbers. You'll have to create a new item for that, um, but when setting it up, it's just a simple click to enable serial numbers and batch numbers. And let me go back in here. So that's about all that you need to do. There is a way of importing. You can have a data import section, and you can import items and serial numbers. As you can see, I've also done that in here. And obviously, importing into a structured data system is a little complex. You need to get the template absolutely right, otherwise you'll end up with bad data. So there is a certain amount of learning curve in being able to do that. So that's about items on ERPNext. Let me walk you through items on Zoho Books and Inventory. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you had to do a few things before you can even get started on setting up these particular and then on the items. The first thing that you need to do is you need to go in here and you need to click on settings, and you need to click on items. You should know all this to be able to do that. And like I was talking a while ago, an entrepreneur will not have the patience to to be able to discover all of this. Maybe he's got the patience or she's got the patience, but it's better not to not to slow those people down, because if you slow them down, they'll get frustrated and move to another piece of software. So here's you have to come in and at this system level, not at the item level, you have to enable serial number tracking, you have to enable batch number tracking, and you have to allow duplicate batch numbers. The prevent stock from going zero is a setting on ERPNext as well. You can turn on negative stock. So that's another thing that you want to be able to take care of. And once you've done that, there is another level of complexity in setting up items. So let me go back to no, let me talk about the items first, and then I'll come back into the settings. You see there's items and composite items. These are two separate items. An item is an item that you typically buy and sell or make or whatever that kind of thing is. A composite item, I'm sorry, an item is something that you buy and sell. You can't make an item, right? There is no way of doing that. If you want to make an item, you need to set up a composite item. And we'll come to that particular thing. And on ERPNext, you don't need to worry about at the time of setting up the item whether a particular item is a made item or a bought item. You don't need to worry about that. You can just go ahead and set that, and then add in the manufacturing details to that particular item. So that's a level of complexity that Zoho expects you to go through. And now we will talk about bombs. So now you've set up an item like, say, SI made. Now you want to add a bomb, a bill of material. So you go to the bomb list, and you set up a bomb, right? And I'll just pick a bomb and walk you through that particular part. You can set up a bomb, you add raw materials here, and then you can even track operations. You can put scrap and process loss. There is costing involved in this particular bomb. So you can do all of that particular thing. And like I said, at the time of setting up the item, you don't need to know if you have to make a bomb for that particular item or not. So that's the that's ERPNext with Zoho Books and Inventory. Like I said, you have to first come in here, go to items, and you have to set up uh, composite items or composite items. Here it is. You have to set up those composite items, and after that, what you will be able to do is you'll be able to pick up an item. So let me close the settings, go to inventory, and go to the item screen. In the item screen, you see this. You see whatever that is. It's like that's the composite item. So you make a composite item, and then you make the normal item. So SI bot has been set up as a normal item. It's not a made item. It's just bot, and SI made is a composite item. So um, in the composite item, right in the item master, you add the items that are necessary. On Zoho Books plus Inventory or Zoho Inventory, you cannot have just one input item for a composite item. You can only make a composite item if there is at least two input items, or one input item and a service item. So what I had to do, even though I didn't want to track labor on this, is to add a dummy item called labor, and then put that, just to be able to make a composite item. So that was a little bit of a bummer. I didn't like that. And in a lot of cases, you may say that you really need to track labor, but in a shop floor, in the average shop floor in India, why even even in the most sophisticated shop floor in India, I think it's very hard. The organizations would be hard pressed to be able to track labor associated with the cost of making an item, for the simple reason that India is not very timesheet driven. Labor is not timesheet driven. I don't know enough to know if other countries in the world can do this, like more the Western the Western economies, or the more sophisticated Asian economies can track and can track labor to the extent of saying, okay, this is the amount of labor that went in. And even if you do, different people will be paid different rates. So it's I my personal experience, and maybe I'll have a separate channel on that particular thing, or a separate video on that, is that tracking labor is, especially in an Indian context, is an exercise in futility. You just rile up the shop floor totally, and you make them and focus on different areas, and you really don't get anything out of that particular thing. If there are organizations that have been able to do this, please do reach out to me. I'd be very happy to publish another video as to how and you're willing to share that information with the larger community. Please do reach out to me, and I'd be very happy to make a video of of you, how you did that, right? From my implementations, and I do fairly complex manufacturing implementations of ERPNext across the world, I haven't been able to really make the case for an organization even trying to capture the labor costs associated with a particular process or the cost of making a particular item. So, so despite that, I had to add, despite the fact that the labor is an exercise in futility, like I was telling you, I had to add labor here just so that I can get going on, Zoho Books and Inventory. And what happens is, like on SI made, let me just walk you through. Yeah, this is the input items. So this is the associated items. So the bundling is their way of saying manufacturing, right? So that's what it is. I think bundling is more from a promo angle, where you take, let's say, a keyboard and a mouse, and you offer it as a bundle at a discount, or or free delivery or something like that. So that seems to be the concept, though you can hack it to make it work for you for manufacturing, right? So that is the those are the two things. Let me see if I missed out on anything else. So that's what we did. So we on ERPNext, let me go back to the to the bomb. There is a thing that happens. It's called the exploded bill of materials. The exploded bill of materials is more info, I think. Yes, it is. And the exploded bill of materials is the sum total of raw materials and bought out components that is required to make a particular item. The best way to explain this is, like, imagine you're a car manufacturer, and in the car you have a bunch of assemblies, and you have direct items that sit in the car as well. So some of the assemblies that sit in the car is the engine assembly, the transmission assembly, and inside the engine assembly you have other things like the piston assembly, the engine block, so on and so forth. So you have a nested bomb. It's possible to make a nested bomb in ERPNext, where each of these assemblies, the bomb of each of these assemblies or sub assemblies, is called into the higher order of that particular product. So the piston assembly bomb gets called into the engine assembly, and the engine assembly bomb gets called into the assembly for the car. And when you do that, the exploded bill of materials give you the sum total of all the raw materials and components that are necessary to make that particular car. Now, on Zoho Books and Inventory, I didn't see a place where you could nest that in. I think I also made this SI Super. SI Super was just a dummy item that I made to test this particular thing out, where I added an item, a composite item into that. Lets you add a composite item into another composite item, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't tell you what is the sum total of raw material and, excuse me, bought out components that are necessary to make this particular item. So that was what I found out. So now let me get on to the slideshow bit and then walk you through through the rest of it. So ERPNext was easy to set up items. Serial numbers and batches are enabled out of the box. No plan level complexities. Manufactured items, outsourced items, and bought out items are all in the same item master. Zoho Books and Inventory, you have to bought out items, manufactured items are separate. These are called items and composite items, and serial numbers and batch numbers has to be enabled. This is on the item level. On the BOM, with ERPNext, you can have multiple BOMs for the same item. You can track operations, set up workstations, no restrictions on the number of items in the BOM. You can have a one-to-one relationship, and a lot of cases you do. Like if you're an automobile component manufacturer, you take a piece of wire and make fasteners out of it. So there is no other item that gets included in this fastener that you're making. You just go through a whole bunch of operations like forging and tuning and threading and heat treatment and all those kind of things. And you don't really need the complexity of having to add a dummy item just because you can get going on the piece of software. Now, on Zoho Books and Inventory, composite items is the BOM equivalent in Zoho Books and Inventory. You need to have at least two stock items, so one stock item and one service item. You need to enable serial number and batches, not at the item level, but at the setup level. Both the cases, you can pick whether a particular item is serialized or batched, or whether it's not serialized or batched, you need to enable that at the item level, obviously. But in addition to that, what you have to do is at the setup level, you have to go in and you have to turn on serial number and batch number tracking. You also have to turn on composite item, on Zoho Books, whereas ERPNext doesn't have that approach. All of them are a single thing. On the item master, you can have traded items, bought out items. You can have raw material only. You can have finished goods only. I'm sorry. You can have sales items only. You can have made items. You can have outsourced items. So there is no complexity, and it's very easy to get started. So you come in, you sign in, and like I said, in the sign up module, you're able to get going immediately, and then you go look at the item master and you start playing around with that, and you're able to add items. Whereas with Zoho Books and Inventory, you have to be able to know that you need a composite item, and you need to enable serial numbers, and you need to enable batch numbers. So that is a level of complexity that that Zoho Books and Inventory is got for whatever reason. And I have a hypothesis, but I will talk about it in another module. So it's a lot easier to get started on ERPNext. Both of them, structured data, you need to, it takes a certain amount of time for you to be able to understand how the system works. There are a lot of moving parts, but it is, ERPNext would probably need, you'll need to call an ERPNext solution provider a little later, whereas with Zoho Books and Inventory, right at the time of enabling composite items, or right at the time of enabling serial numbers and batch numbers, the entrepreneur might get frustrated and have to call Zoho partner to help him or her through this particular implementation. So because of all of these reasons, the winner of the item plus the bomb setup module is ERPNext by a mile. I hope this is not my biases creeping out, but for me, it was very easy to set up, items. On Zoho Books and Inventory, I really had to go and Google a little. I had to search a little. I had to find out. Of course, the information is available. Everything's available on Google if you have the time and the patience to look for it. And then, but that's not the point. The point is, for a piece of software to be able to be very intuitive for you to start using that without having to call an expert on that particular thing, or without having to Google. And on that yardstick, I really think that this is ERPNext by a mile. Their approach to the items and bombs is way simpler, while offering a degree of complexity that maybe the ordinary user doesn't have to worry with, and he can get to that level when he or she is ready to deal with that level of complexity. So cool. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. Hello, 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 and welcome to ERPNext Shootout with Zoho Books plus Inventory. This is the opinionated section of the Shootout. And in this segment, we're going to be talking about warehouse setup and transactions. And we're going to be testing ERPNext and Zoho Books with the following attributes: set up warehouses, main stores, brand stores, and roadshow. Buy and invert SI bot, RM1, RM2, RM3, make SI made and SI made S, outsource and get back SI outsource. And the whole thing is going to be supporting traceability, serial numbers on SI made and batch numbers on SI outsourced. Let me just walk you through some of the screens in ERPNext. So this is ERPNext. What you got to do to add, I just walk you through the warehouse section. So here's in this settings section of the stock module, you pick warehouse, and you can go to list view to tree view. Makes it easier. So each company, and you can have multiple companies on ERPNext, comes up with its own set of 4 warehouses out of the box: finished goods, goods in transit, stores and work in progress. And ERPNext can support an unlimited number of warehouses. There is nothing that needs to be enabled or disabled, and you just add child and you pick what is the parent warehouse, and you can have a complex tree of warehouses, and the stock balance report that you use on ERPNext will give you, if you pick a parent warehouse, the stock balance report in each of the warehouses under that particular tree or under that particular branch. With Zoho, we go to Zoho. The first thing you got to do is with Zoho, you got to go in here and uh, maybe go to warehouses, and you have to say enable multiple warehouses. There is because I've already enabled multiple warehouses, there isn't a need. Here it is, disable multi warehouse. So it doesn't come enabled multi warehouse out of the box, so you'll have to go find this particular setting and then enable warehouses. And there is a limited number of warehouses that Zoho allows you to have depending on the plan. I will talk a little bit about it at another segment and talk about Zoho's approach to business as against ERPNext in a different business. So that's about warehouses. On let us say buying something, you got to buy. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to buy the traded item SI bought. SI bought is both sales item and a purchase item. The other three, SI made, SI made S, and SI outsourced, are made items. So there is a BOM associated with that, bill of materials, and I'll just walk you through that BOM, though we've covered that in the previous segment already. But let me just pick this particular thing up here. So SI made as, so there is a BOM, and the BOM says what are the input materials and the quantity of these particular input materials. So if you want to do, if you want to procure, or if you want to plan, uh, you know, uh, uh, plan production or the input material for a particular set of material that you want to manufacture, or a set of items that you want to manufacture, it's very easy to do that on ERPNext. You just go to material request and you say add a material request, and you say get items from, and you say bill of materials, uh, and you say as I made, uh, yeah, and you say which warehouse you're procuring this for. So let's say you're procuring it for the raw material store, which is stores, and you want to say manufacture 100 of these particular things of SI made the item. So you just say click, and then it'll fetch the quantity as per the BOM that is required for 100 of SI made. And here we have a one-to-one relationship, in the sense that to make SI made, you just needed one raw material and you needed one number of RM1. But in reality, it's going to be a little bit more complex than that. So you could have a fairly, like making a car or making a forklift truck, or making a recipe for a food manufacturing organization or a pharmaceutical formulation. The BOM is going to be a lot more complicated than this particular, than what we have done here for SI made. So what ERPNext does is that it helps you plan that particular thing very well. It's got other options as well, like you have a production plan, and you can make a production plan based on material requests for manufacture or sales orders, and that'll figure out how much you already have, how much you need for this particular production plan, and how much you need to procure. So it does all of that particular stuff very well. And so that is about the procurement. So what we did was that we did a similar kind of thing, and in remember, this is the opinionated section. I have the entire screens captured in the discovery phase and the reporting phase of uh, the shootout, and that is that is a 5 hour long video, almost 5 hour long video, that's already up on my YouTube channel. You're welcome to go look at that. But here's the material request that we did. We bought, we requested for 100 numbers each, 100 numbers of SI bought, and then we said we want to make 100 numbers of SI made. We want to make 100 numbers of SI made S, and we want to make 100 numbers of SI outsourced. And from the BOM, we pulled all of these particular things. We submitted the material request, and based on that, the material request got translated into a purchase order. The purchase order was placed on the supplier, and based on that there was a purchase invoice that was made. And in the purchase invoice, as the material came in, um, because RM1 and RM2, RM1 is serialized item and RM2 is batched item, we had to enter in the serial numbers of the item. The serial numbers was a little complex on ERPNext. It's not all that complex if you use the if you use the serial number, and the auto insert serial number tool that ERPNext has got. But if you don't, it's a fairly complicated process. It's a little bit more complicated than what it was in a previous version of ERPNext, and the reason I believe that data integrity was getting to be a little bit difficult in the previous configuration that they had. So they included the serial number and batch bundle, and I'll walk you through that particular thing here. This is the purchase order. This is the purchase invoice, right? And what I did was like the um, I made the purchase invoice an stock transaction as well by clicking on update stock, and I'll show that to you in a little bit. But here's the serial and batch bundle. So if I open this up by right clicking and open link in a new tab, these are the serial numbers that I said were inverted for RM1 on this particular transaction, and there is a reference to the transaction over here, the exact voucher, which is this. So everything from a data integrity and traceability perspective works as it's expected, other than the fact that it's a little complicated, like I said. But if you use the auto insert serial number tool that ERPNext has got, it's a lot easier. But it's still a little complicated. But any company which needs traceability, it has got fairly, and these are organizations that are into food business, these are organizations that are into electronics, these are organizations that are into pharmaceuticals. So most of these, and anything that has got that's got a shelf life. So most of those are fairly complicated businesses, and if you want to have traceability, yeah, you need to be prepared to deal with that level of complexity. So the additional complexity that this particular, the serial that ERPNext adds to the actual complexity of managing serial numbers and batch numbers on the shop floor is just incremental. So I think it's okay to have that level of complexity, especially when the trade-off is on data integrity, because data integrity is an absolute must when you're looking at traceability. So that was about the invert. Now let me just take you to uh, Zoho, and in Zoho, you had a limited number of warehouses that you could set up, but the manufacturing entries, and I will take you to the manufacturing entries by closing settings here and going to the inventory and the items page. Um, the items list both the composite items and the simple items. Here it is. So you could, and you just open this up and then you say create a new bundle. That's the equivalent of a manufacturing entry on Zoho Books. No, but we're not talking about manufacturing entry. I'm sorry, I'm way ahead of myself. So once we did this particular part, once we set up the number of warehouses, and to set up warehouses, it's fairly simple. You just have to click here, and then you go into this, and you add the number of warehouses that you have. You will see that there are a few warehouses that are inactive. When I signed up, that it was on a free trial, and they threw the maximum of the free trial plan at me. But once the free trial got expired, I renewed for a lower plan, and that lower plan only gave me 2 warehouses, and so they inactivated Zoho Inventory, inactivated the other 2 warehouses, and it inactivated a random, um, 2 random warehouses because I had 4, and they could only allow two. So that was the, that was about the warehouse part of it. Now let's look at the invert transaction. On inverting and on buying stuff. uh, Let me close settings. There was no place where I could plan and say that, okay, I need to make 100 of these particular items. So how much do I need to buy? So what you had to do is, I, since it was easy, it wasn't all that hard. I just kind of like calculated that in my head, and then I placed this purchase order. Now this purchase order is for 100 numbers each of SI bought RM1, RM2, and RM3, and now that got converted into a sales invoice. And let me take you there. Here it is, the sales invoice. And in the sales invoice, I will open up the sales invoice. I will turn off the PDF. How do I do that? Overdue, serial numbers, as I made. So here it is. So if I click on this, the serial numbers of, here is the purchase information. I mean, so let me go back to that didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. So I will go to the purchase bills and the purchase invoice. And this was the purchase invoice, and I will knock off the PDF view here so that we can see the transaction. And here is the four materials that we bought. We did have to key in the serial numbers in there, but let me just open up other details and see if the serial numbers are included in there. No, it's not. So anyway, the serial numbers had to be keyed in. Maybe there is another report, and we'll talk about it in the report section. Maybe I can just take you there, and we will look at inventory, inventory aging, batch details report, invoice details, sales written, payables. Yeah, so there isn't the serial number for a particular transaction. I'll have to come back and see if it's possible to do that. I'll report that in the interest of being crisp in that. So uh, so once those those items got inverted, uh, and you invert that using your using the sales, I'm sorry, the purchase invoice. And then once the purchase invoice is made, these items come into stock. So that's what it is. And now if you were to look at, um, so so that's how, so we in both cases got in the raw material. Now we'll talk a little bit about the manufacturing activity on ERPNext. On ERPNext, you could you could go into manufacturing, and uh, you could do a BOM which tracks operations. You could do work orders. You could do production plans. You could do a whole bunch of things that are possible. Then you could do a whole bunch of things on ERPNext. However, if you just want to do a simple production entry, then all you have to do is you have to pick up stock entry, say stock entry purposes manufacture, get items from BOM, put in the BOM information over here from BOM, multi-level BOM. I put the BOM, and then you say how much quantity you want to make, and you say get items, uh, and then you say what is the source warehouse and what is the target warehouse, and you key in the items, the um, the serial numbers for the items that are getting consumed, and you do that by using the serial and batch bundle and the serial number batch serial number tool, insertion tool. And Similarly, on the manufactured item, because both items are serialized, you you key in the serial numbers of the output item on using the serial and the batch bundle, and that, and you just um, submit this particular transaction. Let me just walk you through the transaction a little bit. So you have 100, and the cost of that is, is 200 each, and that based on the input material, ERPNext automatically calculates the valuation rate of the manufactured item. The manufactured item in this particular case does not take into account the cost of labor, other overheads, as maybe. So that is about the manufacturing entry. And similarly, you key in for, key in for, you enter the batch number while making batched items. Now on Zoho, what you have to do is you have to make a manufacturing entry. You have to go to the inventory part. You have to pick up a composite item, and then you have to say bundle, create a bundle. I'll just walk you through a bundle that I made. So this is the bundling history, and I pick up the the bundle, and you will see that you'll see the bundle that got created over here. And but like it said, then I kind of made a mistake, made it for one, so then I came back and made it for 99. I made the transaction for one, and then I came back and I had to make it for another 99. Now where is the serial number of the of the items that went in? I'm not able to see that very easily. Let me Google and see if there is a way of doing that particular thing. Somehow I missed this in the in the discovery section. So that's about the manufacturing part of it. Now let's talk about outsourcing. In on ERPNext, you could do. There is a process for outsourcing. It's a little tricky. It's a little complicated. But then you have to make a purchase order for a service item, and let me walk you through that particular thing. And you have to call in the item that is being made. Um, Let me knock off the filter so that we get to see this. This is the purchase order. So this is the purchase order for the subbing cost 20 rupees for 100 numbers. And then in with this particular purchase order, you have the subcontracting order. You make a subcontracting order after this, and based on the subcontracting order, and I'll pick this up, you will see a subcontracting receipt and subcontracting a subcontracting ship out, if you will. So there is a very clear way of doing outsourcing on ERPNext for the entire workflow, and you're able to calculate how much material went out to the, and you're able to monitor how much material went out for the supplier, how much finished items came back, and therefore how much material is left with the supplier. So it's possible to do this reconciliation fairly easily. On Zoho, I could not see a way by which you could do outsourcing in a clearly defined workflow way. So the BOM and the labor cost is one way that you could do that, but you have to wing it, and there is no way to for instance on ERPNext, because it gives you unlimited number of warehouses you could set up. And if you're an organization, and I know a bunch of organizations that are, if you're big on outsourcing and you have hundreds if not thousands of suppliers that you work with, and I really do know people who do that, right? And in that kind of a case, what ERPNext helps you do is it lets you set up a warehouse for each vendor, so that it becomes very easy for you to monitor what's going on with your subcontractor. Now, with with Zoho Books and Inventory, there is no way of doing that, and even if you did that, you would be limited by the number of warehouses. So it's a little tricky. You have to do it. You have to hack the system to make it work for you, and I'm sure you can do that, but it's not elegant. There isn't a clearly defined way by which you have to do it. So it becomes difficult for other people to know what you are doing. Whereas in ERPNext, because the process is very clearly defined, there is a there is a there is a process document, if you will, and there is a stated way of doing things, so that it's easy for other people to monitor what's going on as well. So there is objectivity in what's being done. So this is these are the areas that, let me see if there's anything that I missed. We've covered traceability, we've covered all of this. No, that's about it. So I'll just update the other slide, and then I will come back and do the summary and announce the winner. Thank you very much. Yeah, hello, and this is a summary of the warehouse setup and transaction segment. Set up warehouses, it was fairly easy to set up warehouses on both ERPNext and Zoho Inventory. Multiple warehouses need to be enabled on Zoho. ERPNext supports an unlimited number of warehouses. There is a limited number on Zoho Inventory depending on your plan. When it comes to planning and buying material, a material request on ERPNext pulls the amount of raw material that is required for making a particular, the input material that is required for making a particular item from the BOM, so you don't need to calculate it in your head or in a calculator or on a spreadsheet. No material request concept on the Zoho Inventory. Quantities of input material needs to be calculated in your head or in a spreadsheet and then inputted into Zoho Inventory. Making manufacturing entries is equally easy on both ERPNext and Zoho Inventory. Um, the manufacturing entry themselves, ERPNext has got a lot more powerful approaches in terms of work order, in terms of job card. Zoho is just the bundling part of it. Recording input and output serial numbers is easier on Zoho Inventory. It's fairly complicated on ERPNext. It's a little easier if you use the serial and batch selector tool on ERPNext. However, displaying serial numbers for a transaction is possible on ERPNext. I couldn't really find it on Zoho Inventory, and you needed to pull it into. I mean, it's there somewhere because it's part of the database, but trying to extract that information will need you to either do know a little bit of coding to be able to do that. You will need to do another PDF template, or you will need to do the document, the transaction template slightly differently. It's a little bit more complicated. Um, Though slightly complicated, ERPNext has a process to manage outsourcing, and I couldn't find anything on Zoho Inventory. So because of all of these particular reasons, because of the sheer uh, different ways by which you could do manufacturing, and manufacturing is really a big part of this particular evaluation in there. Um, the winner of this particular module is ERPNext for sure. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back again soon. Hello, 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 and welcome to ERPNext Shootout with Zoho Books and Inventory. This is the opinionated section of ERPNext Shootouts, and in this particular segment, we've prior to this segment, we bought the items that need to be bought. We've made the items that need to be made. We have outsourced and received back the items that need to be outsourced. So in this segment, we're just going to be transferring 25 numbers each of SI bought, SI made, SI made S, and SI outsourced to main stores, brand stores, and roadshow. And we are going to be invoicing customers from the three warehouses. Main stores and brand stores cater to B2B customers. Roadshow is a counter sales at a sales event. Let me take you to ERPNext and walk you through a few quick slides about how this whole thing worked out. So once the items got manufactured, what we did was, like, we did a stock entry, purpose material This is the opinionated section, but um, there is a longer discovery section and reporting section. It's a 5-hour video where all of these particular screens have been dealt with in a great amount of detail. I'm not going to be going into that level of detail here. This is just the relevant screens, and I'm just going to talk about how to, what I think, how well each of these particular pieces of software goal themselves on these attributes that were common to both of them. So to transfer material on ERPNext, it's a fairly simple thing. You could uh, start with a stock entry purpose material transfer, and then use the default source warehouse, which is the warehouse where the item or the items are presently at on ERPNext, and then the target warehouse is where you want to transfer it to. And you put in the item code and the number and press save and submit, and the items get transferred. And I'll just quickly show you the stock ledger. The stock ledger will show you that 25 numbers each of these got uh, depleted or got reduced from the finished goods warehouse, which was the source warehouse, and 25 numbers of that got added to the target warehouse. There is a date and timestamp that is captured on ERPNext, very clearly. And so that's about the transfer part. You could also ask for a material request, purpose material transfer for the same transaction, and the fulfillment department, which is typically the warehouse department or the supply chain department or the inventory department or the stores department, would then fulfill that particular thing with a single click. So both options are available. Either you can do a material transfer directly, or you could get people to put in a material request for the items that they want. For instance, here the brand stores guys could put in a material request saying that I need 25 numbers of each of these, and then the um, you know the um, uh, the stores team will fulfill that and with a single click. So there is a certain amount of pull or a push, if you will, and both are possible. On Now we go to Zoho Inventory. On Zoho Inventory, there are sorry, but I need to kind of discover this. The transfer orders over here. Yeah. So you will need to put in a transfer order, and once you put in the transfer order, you'll be able to mark it as transferred. And it's a similar kind of situation. And I will knock off the PDF view, uh, and you will see the actual transaction in here. And in the actual transaction, you will have, um, you know, um, you'll have the items that were transferred, that were requested for transfer, and then you will actually say, I'm going to transfer this, and that will do the transfer. Now, in both Zoho Books and Inventory and on ERPNext, you need to enter a key in the serial numbers. And on ERPNext, let me go back to this voucher, the transaction, and SI made and SI outsourced. SI made is a serialized item, SI outsourced is the batched item. So there will be the serial and batch bundle over here. This will record, and this serial and batch bundle is tied to this particular transaction, and it will record all the serial numbers that got transferred um, to the other store. Now this is very easy on on an ERP system. What's more challenging is that the shop floor will have to ensure that they pick up this same serial numbers. Or the better way to do that would be to get the supply chain department ready it for transfer, ready it for packing to the other store, and then record or capture the serial numbers, and then key in those serial numbers on ERPNext or on Zoho Books and Inventory. The best thing, of course, is to use barcodes so that you just can't go wrong. But for that, you will have to stick the serial number of the item the barcode of the serial number of the item on the item in an accessible place, so that it's easy for the logistics, from the logistics perspective, to scan that particular barcode. So that is what, that's how ERPNext treats traceability. On um, Zoho Books and Inventory, I'm sure, and you can do it some way, but I cannot from this particular screen be able to figure out the serial numbers that were transferred as part of this particular transaction. Though I had to enter those serial numbers for me to be able to do the actual transfer, but I can't report that particular thing out. I'm sure there is a way of doing it. I'm not as familiar with Zoho Inventory as I am with ERPNext. So, and then to be fair, if I couldn't have discovered it, it's highly unlikely that another user, a business user, would be able to find out how to do this as well. Because I Googled, I tried to play around a little bit. It had to be added into the PDF template, and that's how you do that. It's a little bit tricky. It's a little complicated. So that is about about the transfers. Once the transfers were made on ERPNext, uh, you could do uh, accounting, you could do invoicing, and you could do a direct invoice, you could do a sales order and then convert that into a sales invoice. You could do a POS invoice. So there were multiple options, and here's I will show you both. So this is a B2B invoice that was most likely done from from the main stores. So it was shipped from the main stores. I'm sorry. And this clicking on update stock will ensure that it's both an accounting transaction and a stock transaction on ERPNext. And you put in the posting date and time, and you put in you pull in the customer master from the customer master. And you have to set up a customer master, of course. You have to set up the customer on the master, of course. And then you can do GST in an India context. You can do GST, and in any part of the country you should be able to get the tax template working fairly easily. ERPNext does a fairly decent good job of tax templates, and let me show you that particular part, both purchase taxes and charges template and taxes and charges template. So you typically start still sales taxes and charges template like this, and you say in-state GST at 18%, and then you can add a row in here, and you can say the type is it uh, on net total or the previous. Here are the options: net total, actual, on previous row amount, on previous row total, on item quantity. So you could add any of these any of these particular options, and because of these you would be able to configure uh, the the tax template on ERPNext to match the requirements of I think almost any country across the world. There would be some really complex tax regimes that ERPNext may not be able to do a very good job of. But for India, it does a great job. So there is absolutely no problems with that. A lot of my customers use ERPNext for both accounting and for inventory, and they're able to file their GST returns without too much hassle. On Now we go to now we go to Zoho Inventory, and on Zoho Inventory you say sales, and once you transfer items to a particular warehouse, you can do sales orders, and then you can convert that to invoices. ERPNext also, you can do sales orders and convert that to invoices. So I'll just go straight to the invoices here. You pick up an invoice, and I'm sorry, let me pick up invoice, the lowest number in there. And yes, so you make the invoice, you say what item. Again, on both ERPNext and on Zoho Books and Inventory, you have to say what serial number is getting shipped, because that's the whole point of traceability, or what batch number is getting shipped. And it records that particular information. and you're able to save and submit. And as you do that, as you know, as you record that particular thing, the transaction in both ERPNext and on Zoho Books and Inventory, you could actually see, you know, the quantity gets depleted, the item, this income gets booked, the expenses get booked, and then all of those good things happen. On ERPNext, you could actually go to invoice and see the effect of that particular invoice on your general ledger, and I will quickly show you that. And I am absolutely certain that uh, Zoho Inventory also lets you do that. And let me try and see if I can find that particular thing as well. So over here, you will see that debtors got booked for 2,000 rupees, 2,000 got booked for the income account, 820 is the cost of the valuation of the stock that got shipped to the client. So that got depleted, that got credited, and it got reduced by 820 rupees, and that 820 rupees moved to the expense account as cost of goods sold, because that's the account that we chose to chose to bill it against. So that's what it does. And on let me see if there is a way by which you can see the effect of this on the general ledger. There doesn't seem to be a way. uh, I'm happy to come back and then redo this or add a segment to it if any of you can point out that this is how I would be able to do that. But I'm reasonably certain that if you go to books uh, .zoho.in, and if I were to look at the general ledger from there, I should be able to let me see if this invoices has got a better interface from Zoho Books rather than Zoho Inventory. So let me pick this one up, and there's no PDF, which is great. We didn't want record payment, make credit note, make debit note, so view journal. So that is what it is. So the view journal will give you that particular information. Oh, it's right there in the it's recorded in the transaction itself, which is also great. And that's exactly what Zoho Books does as well. Let me move my mugshot over here. So the same thing: accounts receivables, income, the inventory asset, and cost of goods sold. So both of them, do that fairly well. The only advantage with the ERPNext is that there is a point of sale system. I will walk you through that point of sale. And when I open the point of sale, it will ask me for a few things like a ledger opening, and then you put in the customer over here, you create the customer, put in the customer, you pick the items. For instance, I just picked this customer, and then I pick the items that need to be that I'm billing for the customer. And this becomes especially easy because it also records payment in the same document, and it becomes extremely convenient if you're doing a roadshow and you're actually doing any kind of counter sales. It reduces the stock, it books the income account, it captures the customer for posterity, and then it does all of those kind of things, and it records the payment, and it also tells you that this particular counter, what is the amount of money that the counter salesperson owes the organization because of the kind of sales that he or she has done. And then as you submit this particular thing, you can add a discount and all that. You say checkout, and in the checkout you have multiple payment options that you could use, like over here, and you could change the payment option to credit card, cash, or UPI, and then you just say submit. And I'm not going to do that right now. And you say submit, and that will that will just go through wonderfully well. I think Zoho has got a point of sale, but that's a separate app. To be fair, ERPNext has got another POS app called POS Awesome, which is really, I like POS Awesome way better than the native POS interface of ERPNext. So if I have to show you, that if I have to show you another app on Zoho, then I should show you POS Awesome. It becomes a little too complicated. So I just said we will just do whatever is available out of the box, and the same yardstick to both Zoho Books and Inventory and to ERPNext. So that is, that is it. So here I will take you to the summary. Transfers were easy on both ERPNext and Zoho. Zoho needs a transfer order that gets marked as transfer. On ERPNext, you could use a material request and then converted that into a material transfer, or you could make a material transfer directly. ERPNext can make sales order and convert that to delivery note and or sales invoice. Um, with Zoho, you need to make these invoices directly. Um, with Zoho, packing and shipments and stock is another transaction, but on this instance of Zoho, we have said like the transaction that reduces stock is the invoice, not the delivery note or whatever it's called on Zoho Inventory. So transactions on both systems hit the revenue and the expense account as you make the transaction. It also hits your accounts receivable, accounts payable, reports. Um, I mean, this is Zoho Inventory supports only FIFO. ERPNext supports both FIFO and moving average. FIFO is first in, first out. Moving average is moving average, of course. ERPNext supports point of sale to make it really easy for you to make invoices in a retail and shop environment. On ERPNext, you can make quotations and convert that to sales orders. With Zoho, you will need Zoho CRM to be able to do that, because that's an again, Zoho is the front end to a ton of applications. It's a whole suite of applications. So you will need to use Zoho CRM to be able to do that. Of course, Zoho CRM is a full blown CRM. So that's a different app, and that's not under the scope of this particular shootout. But on ERPNext, you have the ability to make quotations as well. There's no problem with that. So based on all of this, because of the fact that ERPNext gives you the flexibility of either making a material request or a material transfer directly, and you can do FIFO and moving average, and you have a point of sale system to be able to do counter sales a lot better. The ERP, and on ERPNext you can make quotations if you want. In a typical B2B scenario, you will need to make quotations. So because of all of these, the winner of the transfer and sales segments is, it's a slight edge to ERPNext. Not that Zoho Books is bad. Zoho Books is pretty okay. Zoho Books and Inventory is pretty okay, but there were a few limitations, and ERPNext definitely has got more options for you, different ways of doing things, and which is offers your organization flexibility, and and that is the reason why ERPNext gets a slight edge in this particular area. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back again soon. Hello, and welcome to ERPNext Shootouts with Zoho Books and Inventory. This is the Opinionated section, and in this particular segment, we're going to be talking about reports. So typically, a system is supposed to provide a bunch of reports for people to be people across the organization, from top management to the people on the floor, to be able to be on top of what is going on, to be able to cut the noise and get to the signal as to what their priorities ought to be, where things are going wrong. So those are the purpose and the objective of reports. And a typical report that you would want for an organization, a generic organization, it's nothing complicated. They want to know purchase request items fulfilled and pending. They want to know purchase items and quantities, what has been ordered, what is received, and what is invoiced. And they want to be able to do manufacturing tracking, because that's one of the things that that you would want to do if you're into manufacturing. You want to know what stage it is at, how much has got manufactured, what was the plan of how much you wanted to manufacture. You want stock balances like items, quantities, value in warehouses, and you want the sales items that have been fulfilled, that have been ordered, fulfilled, and pending. And you want the AR and AP reports. So that's what you want. So let's go to ERPNext and and look at the reports that are available on ERPNext. So if you go to the buying module, there is a report that goes. Let me find it for you. Items to order and receive. And this is the list of items that have been that have been requested for, and whether that has been ordered and whether that's got received. And in the, let me move this over here, in this particular report you'll be able to see, and if you scroll to the right over here, you'll be able to see, yeah. So for instance, this material request, the material request is on the left. You can you can change, there's the material request, and you can change the columns so that it becomes crisper for you to be able to see that. And then you this is the requested quantity, this is the ordered quantity, this is the received quantity, that's the quantity to receive, and the quantity to order. So it gives you this whole ability to see what is going on. And people can say, hey, what happened to my request? I don't see that you have ordered it out. Is there a problem? Is there something that I need to do for you to be able to do this? And these are some of the things that that reports help you with. So that's about the material requests. Now we have another report called the purchase order analysis, and I will take you to the stock module. And in the stock module, you have both the sales order analysis and the purchase order analysis. The purchase order analysis and the sales order analysis report. And if you open this particular thing up, it takes a perspective of the purchase order and it'll tell you how much has been ordered, how much has been received, and how much is pending, how much has been billed, all of these things. And you can run these particular filters and say, okay, show me only the pending ones, don't show me the ones that have been completed. So this is how you can cut the noise and get to the signal, and this is the ones that you need to worry about. Similarly, you can say what are the ones that have not been billed, what are the ones that have not been not been built. So you ensure that each process is completed by being on top of these particular reports. And there are a whole bunch of reports. I'll come to the whole bunch of reports. So in addition to that, we are talking about those two. And now we're going to talk about the manufacturing planning. And in manufacturing, you go to the manufacturing module by clicking on here, and then you can go to, say, job, a work order, pick up a work order, and the work order will tell you what is going on this particular work order, right? For instance, what are the operations that have been completed for here, for instance, required quantity is 50, transferred quantity is 50. So it's under process, it's not been manufactured, nothing has been manufactured yet. And if you click on the operations, you'll be able to see that it's completed forging and it's still yet to go through chamfering, drilling, and heat treatment. So you get a very good idea about what's going on and what stage of manufacture each of these is. Though I must say that this is not part of the attributes, but ERPNext gives you the ability to do all of these. And then even a work order completion report is something that you will have. So let me just take you to manufacturing and back in here, and then you can have this work order summary. The work order summary will actually say how much have been, what is the work order for, how much has been completed, how much is, how much is produced, um, and that gives you the ability to be on top of things, to be able to set customer expectations appropriately. I don't need to tell you, you guys know how to use all of these particular reports. On stock balance report, ERPNext has got a stock balance report, it's got a stock ledger report, and you can use various filters to be able to, again, cut the noise and get to the signal. So if you want to look at a particular item in a particular warehouse, you're able to do that. So for instance, I will just pick SI made S in warehouse counter sales. Roadshow, sorry, not counter sales, it's called roadshow. And you'll be able to kind of like click on this, and it'll show you the report as soon as ERPNext serves that report for you. So what ERPNext does is, like, it does the it makes the report on a uh, on the background, so that it uses less resources, system resources. That's their way of optimizing it, and then you will get this particular report when that report is ready. So that is the that is the part. And any report, you can export it to Excel or CSV. You can export, you can print it, you can make a PDF out of it. And the other thing that you can do is you can add columns, and depending on the doc type is the various documents on ERPNext, transactions, if you will, masters and transactions on ERPNext, and you can say from which document, what field, and you can just insert that. And you can also do one thing: you can take a column and you can move it over. That gives you a lot of ability to do a lot of reports together. And similarly, if you were to look at, there is another report that is, I think, extremely important when you are into inventory management, and that is called the stock ledger report. Stock balance report just gives you the balances available. It talks about how much was the opening quantity, how much have come in off between the from date and the to date, and what is the balance quantity on the to date. Uh, this is the from date in a stock balance report, and a to date in a stock balance report. It doesn't give you the actual transactions that got you to this particular report. A stock ledger report gives you the actual transactions, and I'll show you the stock ledger report quickly. So this is the stock ledger report, and this is for the entire organization from the 13th of January till the 13th, for the last 1 month. And it'll tell you, and you can very easily go to the voucher and see what this voucher was all about, and the transaction, and see what the transaction was all about. So similarly, on ERPNext, if you were to look at the sales order analysis, the sales order analysis report, and I'll get to that, and I'll keep talking while I get to that, will give you the the orders that you've received for a particular item, and how much have you fulfilled, how much have you shipped, how much have you billed, and and how much is yet to bill. So you get all of those, all of those particular information, using this particular report. It's got the item wise sales report. It's got a whole bunch of reports. There's got tons of reports that ERPNext comes with. And if you were to look at this, I will go to the report list over here, and I'll give you a rough idea about the number of reports that ERPNext is. It's got 193 reports across all the modules. So a lot of anything that you're looking for, there's already probably a report there. And in nature, you can build your own report. So if you want to go into, into, let's say, sales invoice, or a sales order. So let me pick up the sales order, and you come here, instead of list view, you pick the report view, and you can make a report out of this. And similar to what I showed you in the pre-configured reports, You can pick columns. Here, because it's a particular document, you will not be able to get uh, fields from other documents. That will require a little bit of code, a SQL report or a query report, and it needs a certain amount of knowledge about about coding. And this is how you access the accounts receivable report. You go to the accounting section and you click on accounts receivable, and you will have this configurable report where you can configure the due dates. You can pick the columns just like any other report. You can add columns to it from the various documents that this particular report is linked up with. And you can move columns, you can change the configuration date. So if you just want to see, if you're a really precise organization that wants to see receivables in let's say 5, 10, 15, 30, right? So and that's what you want to see, you can configure it appropriately. So you'll be able to do all of that and be on top of the money, uh, the money that keeps your whole engine running. And that's kind of that's very important from any business having access to these particular reports. Um, and similarly, you have the accounts payable report that you can go to, and you will see similar um, a similar report that helps you stay on top of payments and ensure that your suppliers like doing business with you. And you can again change the aging of these of this particular report, export it to Excel or CSV, and so on and so forth. In addition to that, you have the live P&L, and because we have turned on perpetual inventory on this particular instance, you will have the P&L being booked automatically as you make transactions on ERPNext. And you access the financial statements by those who are the accounting masters. I'm just looking at change the financial reports. So here we are. Here are the financial reports. So you have your trial balance for party. You have um, the financial statement, profit and loss statement, balance sheet, and so on and so forth. And so you will see how much money you're making as you make transactions, and that is great because um, it tells you in a live basis as to how profitable you are, and you can correct things before the year end. Because by the time the year ends, it's already too late. Your profitability depends on what you do on a day-to-day basis. So ERPNext helps you, and the reports that it's got helps you stay on top of all of these particular things, and that's really great. And we saw that you had about 174 reports that are available. A lot of it is with other modules that are there, but even if you were to look at just the inventory and the finance module, I would hazard a guess that there would be about 30 to 40 reports that are available between these two modules put together, possibly a little more. And you can find a report that can be, that can work for you. You can customize it to a certain extent. If it's just a document that you're looking at, like a sales invoice, or like if you want to go into a sales invoice document, you can make a report out of it like I showed you. You can go to the report tab over here, and then you can pick columns. You cannot add columns from another document. You can only add columns from from the sales invoice document. And that's how it is. I think reporting is fairly extensive on ERPNext. It's not very complicated for an ordinary user to be able to start putting reports together. You can use filters, which is which is extremely important to narrow down the report to what you're looking for, to the exact piece of information that you're looking for. You can cut the noise and get to the signal as you stay on top of your business, and that helps you become more profitable, more productive. You and your employees become more profitable, more productive, and helps you thrive in the marketplace. So that's about um, ERP Next reports. Now I'll take you to the Zoho inventory and Zoho books reports. Yeah, for the reporting section, what you got to do is you got to go into the appropriate module. Sorry, not the appropriate module. You got to go to the report section, and you'll be able to see a whole bunch of reports. These are the sales by customer, sales by item, order fulfillment by item, so on and so forth. So let's pick on um, the various reports that we had put in here. Purchase request items fulfilled and pending. Now, this report, the purchase request items fulfilled and pending, is not relevant to Zoho because Zoho doesn't have the concept of purchase request. So we will skip that. So what we'll look at is purchased invoice quantities ordered, received, and invoiced. And we'll see if we can find a report on Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory that'll help us do this. So the active purchase orders report is the one that'll let you do that, I guess. Quantity purchase. So this is the active. So if there is a way by which I can find out, let's see what the, and this is the complete listing of all purchase orders. It doesn't give me the purchase order wise. So I guess if you need the purchase order wise report, you'll have to go somewhere here. You'll have to look at the purchase order. Maybe you can build a report here. Let me try and see if I can do that quickly. Last modify. Let me move my mug over here. Export current view. Manage custom fields. Preferences. Maybe there is something over here that'll help me build a report. Let me see this here. Customize columns. Right. So you can put the customized columns and you can add whatever uh, whatever fields that you want selected in here. Like you want vendor name. It's a permanent field. It's already in there. And let me see what are the fields there that can be added. The company name is the only one that's in there. Everything else is already added from the appropriate field. So this is not uh, very great report. Honestly, it doesn't help us achieve what we wanted. The only thing that says is purchase order number 3 is billed. Is it completely billed, partially billed? It's closed, so it means it's completely billed. Purchase order number 4 has been issued, but we can't figure out from here as to whether maybe if I go back in here and this is issued, it's not been received, it's not been billed. Maybe there is some color coding over here. So let's try and do that. So I should have that ready, and I will convert to bill. We change that to convert to bill, and we will knock off the ones that have serial numbers because it's not that it's complicated on Zoho, it's complicated on any system that you use. And I'm just going to change this to 25, and this one to 25 too. And I'm going to save as open. So it says bill number. I should be able to auto generate bill number. I'm sure there is a way of doing that particular thing, of auto generating the bill numbers. But let me just add and save it. Okay, so that is saved. So now let's go back to the purchase order list and see. Yeah, so it's kind of like gives you partially billed. All right, so the received, you need to make a separate receipt for on Zoho Books and Inventory. But what we have done is we have said that this particular inventory part is going to be calculated based on the invoices. So when you do that, you would expect uh, not to have to deal with having to do a receipt as well. Anyway, I've covered that in a separate section. I don't want to dwell upon that particular thing too much. So that is about purchase items, quantities, ordered, received, and invoiced. It does give you, but you have to open up the transaction to be able to see what is going on. And every time you have to open up a transaction, it's a lot of manual work. The one report that consolidates all of that is great, would have been great. The manufacturing tracking, the part of manufacturing tracking in the concept of manufacturing in Zoho is the bundling. So, and to see bundling, you have to go to the composite items. You have to pick a composite item and see the bundling history over here. I'm sure this can be converted into a report somehow. And we can see that there are two bundles that have been created over here. Uh, Let me see if there is some way I can get to the bundling history. That's the history. I'm sorry, wrong uh, wrong tab. So here is the bundles, and you can see the bundle over here, and I can go back to that, right? And transactions, bundling history. So you have uh, so you capture all of these, and you have the serial numbers that are captured in here, available serial numbers, and with and with which is great. So that's about the part of manufacturing. There's no stages of manufacture that is possible in here. Zoho's got a inventory report, and let me walk you through that particular thing. You go back to the report section, and you look at inventory summaries. Is your report. This doesn't give you the ability to look at the warehouse wise. Let me see if there's a way by which I can add a warehouse. Inventory summary, committed stock, inventory valuation, FIFO, cost log, warehouse report. So there are a whole bunch of reports that you can access right from here without having to close this and go from there, which is great. But there isn't. So for to be able to look at the warehouse wise report, you'll have to go to the warehouse report, and in the warehouse report, there is no from date and to date. It gives you from the from time, eternity. There is no from date and to date on these particular reports. There is no concept of a stock ledger report. I didn't see a stock ledger report in there. And let me go back to this. So you get this, but not at the warehouse level. Now let's look at the sales items. The sales items, payment received, purchases. Where's sales? I'm sure it's got to be sales. Order fulfillment by item. Maybe that's the report. Quantity ordered, but again, yeah, this gives you a report: cancelled, drop shipped, for fulfilled, to be delivered, to be invoiced. All of these, it's kind of It's there, and it's based on orders that have been received, um, quantity to be invoiced, but again, it doesn't give you the transaction. You can't go to the transaction from here. Um, so it's a nice report, but you know, I mean, it's not quite there, not the kind of report that I was looking for. And the AR and AP reports, I'm sure, is already in there. Uh, so let me just click on, yeah, it's right here. Go in here, receivables, customer balances, and supplier balances. So I'm sure they'll do a fairly good job of this. There was an aging issue here, customer balance summary, receivable details. So let's click on receivable details. Here you get the actual transaction. You get received quantity ordered, item price, overdue, transaction number. So you get a lot of information in here about items that are paid. So some of them are paid, some of them are overdue, and it gives you the ability to click onto this particular transaction from here, which is great. And then is there a way by which you can figure out the aging? Assuming that aging is important for organizations, I think aging is important for organizations. This 1 month pre-configured report, there's no way you can change that. Add the report, I'm sure there is a place somewhere where you can go and change that. There's the customer balance summary. Yeah, so I'm struggling with this. Honestly, this is not quite the kind of reports that a typical business leader would look for. Of course, it's got a bunch of reports. Business leaders are fairly adaptable, so they'll be able to make these kind of things work. But it's just not quite the same as having all those particular reports in place. Now let me just take you to the profit and loss statement, and the that is in books. So let me take you to books.zoho.in. Maybe that's where maybe I've been looking in the wrong place, because maybe those accounts payable and accounts receivable reports are all over here in a much better form than what we have seen in here. So let me go to the report section here. I'm sure it's got another report section like this. And in this particular reports, you have the profit and loss statement. You have a cash flow statement, which is good. So let me just click on cash flow. It says accounts payable, accounts receivable, inventory, asset, net income, net cash provided by activities, so which is good. So cash flow reports is very important. You need to know when you're going to go negative so that you can arrange for cash uh, appropriately. So which is very important. So the cash flow report is actually something that's very interesting. But let me go back to the accounts. Yeah, AP aging and AR aging. So yeah, so I was looking in the wrong place. So you'll be able to see the age in 70 days, 16 to 20, 30 days current. So you'll be able to, you do have the ability to look at this. This is probably pre-configured, and in the and maybe there is a way by which you can change that particular configuration, but it's there. And then of course, AP the receivable uh, the receivable report will also give you a similar information as the payable report. I am sure. So we just try. Yeah, here it is. AR aging details, AR aging summary. So all of this, yeah. So this is the report that that I was hoping to lay my hands on. But of course, it doesn't say what is the how is the you'll have to click on the aging report and you'll be able to see the actual invoices that contributed to that particular age. So which is which is fine, which is not too bad in there. Yeah, so but as you can see, you cannot add fields to this. You'll have to hit on customize report, and let's see how easy or difficult it is to be able to do that. Show hide columns, so you can add columns here. I'm sure you can change columns over here. Yeah, you can do this. You can kind of like customize reports and pick up information uh, from uh, from the underlying document and change that. But it's not, you don't do it at the report level. You have to do it somewhere else, which is a bit of a not quite intuitive. The ERPNext lets you move the column over here, and that's, I think, is a lot more intuitive uh, for for uh, for business users. So that is it. So yeah, Zoho also keeps track of your P&L. It presents a live P&L for you to be able to um, profit and loss. So you keep on keep on top of how much money you're making or not making as you make transactions. So which is great. So that's about the that's about the report section over here. Yeah, we will summarize the reporting section on the ERPNext Shootout with Zoho Books and Inventory, the Opinionated section. ERPNext supports reports to track purchase requests, POs, receipts at the aggregate level, and you're able to drill down to a transaction. With Zoho, you need to review at the transaction level, or you have to build a report on your own, uh, which requires a certain amount of coding language. As far as manufacture is concerned, ERPNext supports work order report. Each work order shows the stage of manufacture. Bundling is on Zoho Books and Inventory. Bundling is how you pass the manufacturing entry, and you have to look at the manufactured quantity in the bundling history section of the composite item master, which is not very convenient because you have to look at it at each transaction level. Though I'm sure you can build a report that aggregates transactions, but that again will require a certain amount of business analysis, if not system analysis skills, and coding skills as well. Um, you can track sales orders at the item level on ERPNext. Order fulfillment report consolidates all orders, yet lets you drill down to a particular transaction. On both Zoho Books and ERPNext, you have live P&L as you make transactions. It's easy to stay on top of what's going on. AR and AP reports are supported both on ERPNext and on Zoho Books and Inventory. However, ERPNext, the reports as a whole are more configurable, more intuitive. It's a lot easier working with reports on ERPNext. So reporting is a lot more flexible on ERPNext. A bunch of reports are available. You can customize these reports very easily. Users can do that with the admin interface itself in a single screen. Uh, they can add filters to it, and um, on there are already pre-configured filters that are available that serves most of the users, and you can again build your own reports, especially for it doesn't require any coding language for reports that you want to build within a particular document. There are some reports on Zoho Books and Inventory. Adding filters and customizing reports is a lot less intuitive than on ERPNext. You have to go to a separate screen. You have to add, you have to add fields over there. You have to add filters over there. Not very, and not very. Not very intuitive. However, with Zoho, even on the standard reports that is built on Zoho, you can add filters. Within a certain amount of um, within a certain amount of restrictions. Whereas with ERPNext, you can own the standard reports that require coding. You can only add, you can only add, you cannot add filters. You can only use the filters that have already pre-configured with this. But on the whole, ERPNext is a lot easier when it comes to reporting. There are a lot more reports. It consolidates at the aggregate level, and yet you can drill down to a particular transaction. So the winner of this segment is clearly ERPNext. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon. Hello, 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 and welcome to ERPNext Shootout with Zoho Books and Inventory. This is the opinionated section of the Shootout, and in this segment, we're going to be talking about end of free trial. We know that both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory offer you a 2-week free trial, but what happens when the free trial runs out? That's what we discover in this particular module. I have a bunch of screens in the reporting section and in the discovery section, and you're welcome to refer to that. But here I'm just going to walk you through the slides and my observations, because it involved having to put in a card, so it's not very crisp to be able to show you that particular thing, and it's also very context sensitive. It happened when my free trial expired, which was many weeks ago. But this is what I found out. ERPNext suspends your instance of ERPNext and expects you to enter your billing information, a credit card number. Users that wish to continue will need to buy a plan that costs 4,100 rupees per month. For my Shootout, I didn't have to buy a plan because of some CPU requirements, which was bare minimal. But if you are a small medium business and you run out of the free trial time, then you would have to buy a plan at the end of the free trial period, for you to be able to have access uh, to the instance that you'd created during the free trial. Now, Zoho reverted my inventory free trial to a free plan. It disabled and inactivated all the features not supported in the free plan, and there were a whole bunch of features that were inactivated, like multiple warehouse support, like um, the serial number and batch number tracking. So it was very intrusive. So suddenly, after the free trial is done, I get a message that says, of course, in both cases, they remind you, both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory, they obviously want you to sign up. They want to make money out of you. So they remind you quite a bit, saying that your free trial is going to expire. But if you let it expire, and then it's fair for them to do that. I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying, what happens? How does a user typically look at this? So Zoho, so it kind of disabled all the all the features not supported in the free plan. ERPNext just kept all my work in a cold storage. But obviously, if you let that lapse for a certain period of time, maybe weeks or months, um, I'm sure that that would get deleted, because you can't expect somebody to keep that in cold storage forever. So that is fair. So nobody is complaining about that. But just that at the end of free trial section, how intrusive, is the interventions by these service providers. And Zoho was very intrusive. ERPNext was not. Other things were more or less equal in that. So at the end of free trial section, winner, because the fact that ERPNext is not very intrusive, is clearly ERPNext by a mile. Hello, 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 and welcome to ERPNext Shootout with Zoho Books and Inventory. This is the opinionated section, and in this particular segment, we are talking about open source as against commercial software. ERPNext has got an open source predisposition. Zoho Books has got a commercial and a SaaS as a service disposition. Zoho is a unicorn. So it's got a lot of investors, and they have to please those investors. It's not that ERPNext doesn't have investors. ERPNext is a Zerodha, which is a unicorn in its own right. Has invested, not directly though, through its social costs entity, uh, Rainmatter, which invests in social causes has invested in ERPNext. Um, because it's a social cost, the requirement to show immediate returns, in order of magnitude returns, is lesser in the case of ERPNext. It's a lot more in the case of Zoho Books and Inventory, or Zoho as an organization, and that manifests itself in many ways. So let me just walk you through ERPNext. ERPNext, there are other attributes, and I'll come back and compare that. But if you were to look at this, this is the this is the two plans that they have. The enterprise is, you have to call them to get a get a quote, but at 4,100 rupees per month, payable monthly, you get unlimited users, the entire features of ERPNext, and there's no holding you to ransom, or nickel and diming you, or 1,000 rupeesing you, if you will. But if you were to look at Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory, or specifically Zoho Inventory, so there is a constraint on everything, like the orders per month. This is the free plan, which doesn't cost anything. But the standard plan is about 500 orders a month, 500 invoices, orders or invoices, right? So it's not like you can have no orders, so I'm just going to do invoices. There is also a constraint on the number of invoices that you're going to do. The number of purchase orders, number of bills, the number of users, the number of warehouses, the number of organizations that are supported, and the GSTN numbers of those particular organizations. In India, you could have, if you're a really large organization, you could have, or very distributed organization, you could have at least 40 GSTNs that you might need to support, because you could have an inventory or a store in every jurisdiction that is covered by a GSTN, GSTN number. And APIs, the number of APIs that are called, the price list is not supported, and only supported from professional onwards. Um, the UOM conversion, so rupee to kg, that's only in the premium onwards, um, and so on and so forth. So there's a whole bunch of e-invoicing is not supported in the free plan, which is okay. Approvals, multi-currency handling is only supported from premium onwards. I'm sorry. And look at the integrations. There are um, restrictions. No, there are not many restrictions in the integrations. You have shopping cart and everything else done in there. But the workflow rules and modules, there is 5 rules per module, 10 rules per module. I mean, it's all very intrusive, I think, right? So um, maybe some of these particular restrictions will not really affect a typical business. For instance, if you were to look at 500 orders a month, or 500 invoices a month, or 300 purchase orders and 300 bills a month, I mean, most organizations would not feel this to be a restrictive per month. But the issue is, why would you need to pay more for somebody who who um, is just providing you a piece of software? Why would you want to give that particular service provider a piece of the action that you're having in your marketplace, because of your your value, the kind of value that you bring to the table, the kind of blood, sweat, and tears that you put into your business? Why do you have to share it with some software provider, right? I mean, I find it very strange that you would want to do something like this for something as basic as an inventory system. I mean, I do understand that organizations need to make money. Money is the engine that drives the whole thing. I understand that particular part, but if you were to really look at the ERPNext approach to business, where you give everybody the ability to do everything that ERPNext has to offer. That's the open source mindset. As against this, right? So I don't know about you guys. Maybe you like this. You say, "Oh, this is great. I can grow. I can start at a basic level and then grow as I grow. But hey, look at this. This is like 4,100 rupees a month, whereas over here you're talking about professional. The only thing that is cheaper than that is the standard, and the standard barely does anything for you. It gives you two users, one warehouse, one GSTN, no serial numbers, batch numbers. I don't know if you need serial numbers or batch numbers in your business. No UOM changes, no um, what's that? No UOM changes, no sales approvals, no advanced multi-currency handling. I mean, so it's unnecessary. I mean, if you were to look at a business and you want to get started on something, you'd want to pick that helps you grow, and without having to keep worrying about what the bill is going to be for that growth from something which is so how can I say, extraneous. Of course, if you want to buy raw material as you grow, you'll need to buy more raw material, right? But why do you have to, for the same code that has been implemented, have to pay somebody more just because you're a bigger guy or you're getting bigger? I don't understand that particular thing. Maybe that's the reason why I'm not a unicorn. I am, I am maybe because I don't understand all of these particular things. But I would, in my opinion, if you were to look at this, I would really, really not um, appreciate pieces of software. Now, there are other pieces of software like Unicommerce, right? Those guys do Unicommerce integration. So they integrate Amazon, Flipkart, Nika, a whole bunch of, a whole bunch of e-commerce sites. And you can, use a single interface to sell your products in all of them. Now, the marketplaces are so what can I say, crazy. Their APIs keep changing all the time, and it's a constant struggle for an organization to be able to ensure that those integrations don't break and those integrations keep working. Now, with somebody like Unicommerce or OMS Guru or the other one, that Bangalore-based one, I'm sorry, I'm not getting the name of that particular organization. And if they say that, okay, I'm going to charge you 50 paise or 5 rupees or 50 rupees or whatever per order from the marketplace that you're getting, I would say that there is a certain amount of justification to be able to charge that, and you wouldn't mind sharing that particular part of the spoil. But here you're a B2B organization, let us say, and you're wanting to digitize your processes. Why should you have to pay your digitization or your billing company or your inventory company uh, more money just because you're growing, you're doing well because of the dint of your own hard work and your own value that you provide to your customers. And that's the part that I don't understand. I apologize, right? Maybe you guys are all totally capitalistic and say, "Ooh, that's all fine," but I'm struggling with it. And anyway, it's my shootout. It's my show. So what I think matters, at least in this particular show. So here's what I'll do a quick summary. Try to be objective. Try to be less passionate about it right now in this particular part. Now, if you were to look at the attributes that ERPNext supports, and this support comes not because of ERPNext, but because of its alignment, because of its dedication, and because of its commitment to the open source ideology, as against the software as a service ideology, as against a totally commercial ideology. Now, look at the number of users on ERPNext. You get an unlimited number of users. On Zoho Books, depending on what plan you buy, you get 2 users or 7 users. The number of warehouses in ERPNext, you get unlimited number of warehouses. A lot of my clients use a warehouse for every project that they execute because that helps them be on top of things. It helps them understand the project level P&L. So and ERPNext works wonderfully well for them. They would be hard pressed to use Zoho Books and Inventory because of various other reasons, but simply because they restrict the number of warehouses. One, two, three, seven. Now, each user in each warehouse, you can buy more. You have to pay more for that particular thing. And that is the point that you guys have to be a little careful about, because it's easy to get you in at a lower price point, and then extract money from you as you grow bigger. Because just remember one thing, within a few months of either implementing ERPNext or Zoho Books or Inventory, Zoho Books plus Inventory, that piece of software or any other piece of software will end up becoming the heart of your enterprise, and you won't be able to do without that. And um, you know, uh, SaaS service providers like Zoho uh, understand that, and they extract that, and they exploit that particular part. Anyway, I promise to be objective about that. The number of orders and invoices per month is 500, unlimited on ERPNext, 500, 3,000, 7,000, 500, and 15,000 on Zoho Books and Inventory. But to be fair, I don't think this is going to bother a lot of people, unless you're in the e-commerce market space and you're servicing thousands and thousands of orders or hundreds and hundreds of orders every day. This is not going to be too big a problem for most of the businesses. The purchase orders and invoices is again, it's not going to be too much of a problem for normal businesses, but there is still a restriction. There is still a restriction on the number of orders and invoices and the number of purchase orders and invoices that you can initiate and you can manage and you can maintain on Zoho Books and Inventory. Priceless, unlimited, professional or upwards is the um, is the plan that you need on Zoho Books and Inventory. And let me just walk you across to the professional, and so here it is. So this is so ERPNext comes somewhere in between standard and professional at 4,100 rupees, per month, payable monthly. Whereas here you're talking about 5,499 and 2,299 for a standard plan, which barely does anything for you other than digitizing your processes, right? So, other than digitizing some of your processes. So back to this again. So the price list, and I don't know how many price lists are supported. Maybe it's unlimited. Maybe there is a number. I would suspect that there is a number. Serial number, batch number, supported on ERPNext, professional or upwards on Zoho Books and Inventory. The number of entities, you can have an unlimited number of companies on ERPNext. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you can only have one. The number of GSTINs supported in ERPNext is unlimited. You can have, like, say, in an India kind of scenario, you could have 40, 50. I don't even know how many unique GSTINs are there. I think it's about 40. You can have 40 different, GSTINs, all on a single company. On Zoho Books and Inventory, you can have only one, and you'll have to buy extra. Multi-currency support, if you do billing overseas, or if you receive your if you receive your material, or if you buy from suppliers overseas, on Zoho, ERPNext supports it out of the box. Zoho Books and Inventory, you need a premium plan or upwards. Unit of measure conversion is supported on ERPNext. Again, on Zoho Books and Inventory, you need premium plan or upwards. Unit to measure conversion is important in a lot of in a lot of places, especially if you deal with bulk items that are packaged, and you would want to track both. Like if you dealing with iron or steel, then there is the number of pieces that is important, and there is also the number of kg that is important. The amount of kgs that you bought, that is important. You would deal with pieces, but the customer or the supplier expects you to pay him as per the number of kgs that have been received. Uh, On the instance itself, the configurations that are supported on ERPNext is a software as a service on ERPNext.com, hosted on frappecloud.com, and self-hosted. So you can have your own private cloud and go to GitHub, and pull the ERPNext code from there and have your own instance of ERPNext outside of whatever ERPNext and Frappe does. Whereas on Zoho, you can only have a SaaS version. Customization supported, Frappe Marketplace on Frappe Cloud, you can contribute to it. Zoho, I'm sure, has also got its own marketplace. Unlimited customizations of the self-hosted. You can even change the underlying code. Um, of course, you have serious consequences with changing the underlying code. It's not easy to maintain, but you can do it. There is low code and no code customizations, buzzword that is much abused and much misused these days, but that's what Zoho Books and Inventory provides you. Now, because of all of these particular reasons, if you were to ask me who is the winner um, on the open source with Zoho Books and Inventory as against ERPNext, I don't think you would really uh, you would guess well, going by the drift of what I have said. But let me just come back and show the last part of the slide and say who's the winner in this, on this particular attribute. Thank you for watching. Yeah, welcome back. So we are looking at the winner of this particular category. According to me, open source as against commercial invoice. And if you look at this is the comparison that I did in the earlier part of this particular segment, where we saw that typically um, the ERPNext supports unlimited users, warehouses, orders, invoices, purchase orders, invoices, price lists, serial numbers and batch numbers is supported out of the box, number of entities, whereas Zoho Books and Inventory, being the commercial software, proprietary software, this has got limits based on the plans that you buy. And in a lot of other cases, you have to enable settings of some of the features on Zoho Books and Inventory, like multiple warehouses has to be enabled, composite items has to be enabled, serial numbers and batches have to be enabled. And the reason for all of this, it's not a feature. While it is a feature, it manifests itself as a feature availability. The real reason is the ideology behind that particular thing. And I shall take you here. So look at this particular part. You have to enable price lists on Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory. You have to come here, enable composite items. You have to enable serial number tracking. You have to enable batch number tracking. Now, why would they want to do that? Why wouldn't they make it simple to for anybody to be able to use it, for anybody to be able to know that this particular feature exists? I think, right, it's a little bit more nuanced. It's about Zoho, Zoho being a unicorn, and unicorns have got investors, and investors have got aspirations, and investors have got numbers that they got to meet. I mean, Zoho has got to meet those numbers to its to its investors, because it's a valuation game, and that valuation game actually drives organizations to do to do strange things. ERPNext is, like I told you, it is very focused on open source, though it has got an investment by Zerodha, which is a unicorn by itself. Zerodha's social costs, entity called Rain Matter is the entity that is invested in ERPNext. So consequently, ERPNext does have to show. I'm sure it has reviews with Rain Matter, the people running Rain Matter, but it's not the same kind of conversation that they possibly have. So it generally takes Zoho Inventory. Let me go in there. So when you don't have that, and that it's the difference between a company that is publicly listed and a company that's privately listed. And why some of the companies go from a public listing to a private listing, because they just don't want, or they don't agree to the concept of having to meet numbers on a quarter on quarter basis. It's not that numbers aren't important. Numbers are important, but they can't be the only important thing. So if you were to look at, ERPNext versus Zoho, the whole ideology difference is ERPNext is here. We made this code, and it's a awesome piece of code, and we're going to put it on GitHub for people to use, people to enhance, people to work with it, people to tinker around with it and do whatever they think and find new applications for it. Whereas Zero, I'm not sorry, Zero, the Zoho, both of Z, Zoho, so I got confused there. But Zoho is like a proprietary piece of software, and they want to know how they can charge you more. And that's all this is about. 50 orders per month, 3,000 orders per month, two users, 7 users. And then you have the configurable configurable plan or program, if you will. And as you add more users, you'll have to end up paying 4,788. Now let's go back to this and change this to an yearly or monthly plan. This is right now a yearly plan, so let's change it to monthly, and let's come back to see how that particular thing is going to change over here. So if you look at it, 500 rupees per user per month is what you're talking about, beyond a particular level. And then this is the difference between the ideology of an open source approach and the ideology between open source and a proprietary software or a SaaS software or a commercial software. Now the commercial software has got a huge valuation, right? Even if you were to take just the inventory part of Zoho, I'm sure it'll probably rival, if not be better than ERPNext in terms of valuation by many times over. Possibly. I don't know if anybody has done that particular exercise. So that is, and it doesn't matter because inventory is just a small part of what Zoho does. It does Zoho Books, it does a whole bunch of things. It's got like hundreds of pieces of software that helps businesses, and the ideology or the concept is the same, and they want to try and make as much and they want to try and make as much money as they can. Nothing to be ashamed about that in there. And they also have Zoho One as a plan, and that gives you more options. It gives you deep discounts on using multiple products within the Zoho family and all that kind of stuff. And that's the game. That's the name of the game, if you will. So if you were to look at all of these particular things, and if you were to look at which is the winner out of these, right? Let me take you back in here. The winner of this segment is clearly ERPNext by a huge mile. It's that openness. Maybe I'm a little biased towards the openness, the part of it, but I really don't think that nickel and diming people and charging people for number of orders and other things is the way that a user would really appreciate. When they sign up for a piece of software, they're always going to be unhappy. They're always going to be they always going to be looking for a change that is going to make the whole bill predictable for them, and for in the medium to the long term. And that is what that is what, there will be that dissonance there. They'll be stuck because very soon, as soon as you implement a piece of software, be it Zoho Inventory or ERPNext or any piece of software, that software very soon ends up becoming the heart of the enterprise, and you will not be able to run quite as efficiently if that system were not to be available for you. So consequently, you would be stuck, as an organization, with a plan which is trying to nickel and dime you all the time, and that is not a good place to be. And the organizations that have discovered ERPNext and have been liberated by the open source approach of ERPNext, that they have really appreciated it. And I urge you to take a look at it. I urge you to see if you can make that particular thing work for you, because I really think it's it's a game changer, especially if you're a small medium business. And small medium businesses across the world are stuck between a rock and a hard place, if you will. And so it's really difficult for them to um, be able to afford these kind of luxuries of paying for every user, paying for the number of orders, they're paying for the number of warehouses that you need to have. It's quite unnecessary. Take a look at ERPNext. You could find it refreshing for a change. All right, thanks for watching. Yes, so welcome back. So now we are talking about the summary and overall winner, and each of and we've gold both ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory based on the attributes that we had set up, and along these particular areas or sections or modules. So if you look at the item plus bomb setup, the first one was the sign up module. The sign up module was a tie because both of them were very easy to sign up. You didn't need to put in a card or card number or anything like that. Um, in the item plus bomb setup, ERPNext was huge for the simple reason that you didn't need to know about composite items. You could have bombs separately. You could have multiple bombs to a particular item. So there were a whole, and you didn't need to enable um, uh, multiple warehouses. You didn't need to enable at the configuration level serial numbers and batch numbers. So there were a whole bunch of things that made it very easy to get started with the ERPNext. Whereas Zoho, because of various reasons, didn't make it quite as easy. Warehouse setup and transactions, you could have multiple, unlimited number of warehouses on ERPNext. Zoho has got limitations, and you can buy more number of warehouses for a certain plan. Um, so and in terms of transactions, ERPNext could do various production activities, job cards. It could track operations. You could do production plans. You could do outsourcing. All of those things. And um, Zoho, the only part about Zoho that was better was the serial number tracking on Zoho. It was easier. It was the way that ERPNext was prior to the serial and batch bundle concept that they introduced. So the only place where I think Zoho Books and Inventory is better so far has been in the serial number management in transactions. Um, Transfer and sales, transferring the manufactured material to various warehouses and then making sales. ERPNext had a slight edge, and the reason ERPNext had a slight edge was that the transfers were easier on ERPNext. You didn't need to have a transfer order. You could ask a material request and then do a transfer, or you could just do a transfer directly. And when it came, when it came to sales, there was no number of orders, and concepts. You didn't need. You could have multiple GST numbers. So there was a slight edge. Not that all of those things really matter to, to an organization. At least not the organization that we were goaling. These goaling ERPNext and Zoho Inventory on. Um, from a report section, it was very clearly ERPNext. ERPNext has a huge advantage in terms of reporting. Approach to billing and business in terms of ideology, in terms of commercial software and open source. Maybe you like the commercial, approach better. Maybe you're a true capitalist and you love to do that. But I'm not so sure that you would love to be a true capitalist when you have to pay the bill. So I just found ERPNext to be way better. And at the end of free trial, the again ERPNext put your whole software on cold storage. Zoho Inventory, because of various reasons that they reduced the plan at the end of the free trial, did a lot of interventions and created a lot of changes to my data, and because of that, that was huge. And the overall winner again is ERPNext in there. The whole thing is huge. It's really huge. You know, I when I started off on this journey, really, I am biased about ERPNext, and I thought that maybe I'm unnecessarily biased about ERPNext, and I'm also looking at this as an opportunity to see if I could do any Zoho, Zoho business, because the Zoho inventory business, because a lot of people, almost all the people that I call, say that they are either using Zoho Books or Zoho Inventory, and I really don't know why. It's a question of it's a question of scale, I would say. If Zoho is at 1, ERPNext is really at 10. So while unfortunately, the only thing that I can say at the end of this, while I was hoping that my biases would be reset and I would be more open to Zoho Books and Inventory, I think, I am more convinced about ERPNext at the end of this particular shootout, for the simple reason that ERPNext is really truly better. Now, why and where would you use Zoho Inventory? And let me take you to that particular plan in here. Let's say you sell on on Amazon, you sell on your own website, right? And you're looking at um, you're looking at um, right. So let's say you're selling on Amazon. There's another place where I'm just trying to find compare all plans. This is the part I think, and I will walk you through that particular part. That's probably where you would want to look at the Zoho Books and Inventory kind of scenario, and only if and only if, I would say, you don't do any kind of manufacturing or outsourcing. If you do manufacturing and outsourcing, I mean, like, there is not even, it's not even a fight. The bundling that Zoho Books and Inventory does, which is the proxy for manufacture on Zoho Books and Inventory, is like a bundle. Like, you want to sell a keyboard and a mouse together on a sale on, say, Shopify or on Amazon or on Flipkart or any of those kind of places. So then you would possibly look at look at Zoho Books and Inventory. I think my internet connection is a little okay. It's here. So let me walk you through that. So all of these particular parts, I mean, don't even, I would say, you don't even need to, you don't even, there isn't even a comparison between ERPNext and Zoho Books and Inventory. Sales, again, there is not much of a integrations. So that's the place that I want to take you to. Nothing else, right? So they could possibly be doing integrations better. Look at this Shopify store integration. ERPNext does Shopify store integrations, but you have ERPNext can only do one, right now, whereas here you can have 2 Shopify stores or 5 Shopify stores. I really, depending on the plan that you buy. Now, I really don't know why you would want 5 Shopify stores. Maybe it is for different regions, different countries that you want to operate in. Maybe that's what it is. It does e-commerce. I don't know how much of this e-commerce, how much it integrates with, say, Amazon and Flipkart and Nika and all the e-commerce marketplaces. Maybe it does it does those things well. And if you were a D2C brand, again, I want to say, without doing any kind of manufacturing or outsourcing, then you would possibly could benefit from Zoho, because um, because that is all their the Zoho Books and Inventory does. It doesn't do Inventory. I'm sure Zoho Books is a good piece of software. It does brilliant things, and it helps you be on top of your P&L, balance sheet, your profitability, and all those kind of things in there. But Zoho Inventory is really not even a patch on ERPNext. The winner clearly is ERPNext, um, and it's been great, doing this. This is my first shootout, and I have to be crisper. I just take a lot of time. I will have another try and make a very crisp version of the summary of what I think, who I think is the winner of this shootout. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as how much I enjoyed it putting this together and presenting it to you guys. Thanks, and see you soon.